Hello, and welcome to our second episode of Change Setters, the podcast where we explore the ever evolving landscape of change management through the voices of experienced practitioners. And speaking of experienced practitioners, we have with us today Charlotte Pletinckx.
Hey, Karen. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. We've been looking forward to this session for a while now. So thanks for making time to be here today. So before we dive into the topic of creativity and change management, I just want you guys to get to know Charlotte. So Charlotte, she worked for ING for many years as a customer journey expert, and she currently works at Devoteam GCloud as change manager. And there are a couple of other very interesting facts that you should know about her. She is the mother of Comet, an Australian shepherd, and she loves adventurous holidays. So if you're in need of very adventurous holidays, reach out to Charlotte. She'll be able to guide you through it. So one important thing I should not forget, she was in the top 10 ICT Lady of the Year of 2023, which is very impressive. So well done to you, Charlotte.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for the introduction.
All right. So a couple of small questions about you so that we get to know you a little bit better as we're introducing the session. So if you could go to dinner with anybody in the world, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Okay. To go for dinner, I think I would go with Toni Morrison. She's an American novelist. Maybe you know her book, one of the books she wrote, The Bluest Eye. She actually won a Pulitzer Prize and is also a Nobel Prize in Literature. But besides all of those awards, she's also a university teacher for creative, she was a university teacher for creative writing. And that's actually why I would actually go for dinner with her, because I think as change managers, we do write a lot of content, right? But we need to find the right words, the right tone. And I believe that's actually what she was able to do with her students. And also in her work, she was always, very precise in the tone she was using and the words. Yeah, I would go with her.
Really interesting. Yeah, that's really cool. Thanks. And let's talk a little bit about your role. What do you do at Devoteam GCloud, and what do you like the most about your work?
Yeah. So I'm a change manager now for 2 years. So mainly what I'm doing is accompanying companies that want to move from their current set of tools, of office tools, to Google Workspace. So imagine a company that has been working forever on Microsoft Office and that decides to move to Google Workspace. Well, they need a lot of support. Technical, of course, but of course we need to accompany the users to go through that change. And that's my role as a change manager, is to provide that support for them.
Okay, wow. And for how long have you been doing this?
For 2 years now.
Okay, cool. All right. And how do you stay up to date with change management content? Because change management, there's always new elements, little tweaks.
Yeah, indeed. But to be honest, I'm not following any specific pages on LinkedIn or specific podcasts besides this one. But actually, I myself get inspired by a lot of different sources, whether it comes from books or really random profiles on LinkedIn. For example, I read Jab, 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 Right Hook. I don't know if you know it. It's from Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if I pronounce his name correctly. It's a social media marketing book, but somehow even there I felt inspired. He's also talking about the What's in It for Me tool that we use a lot as change managers. He's talking about finding the right hook to get people to buy a product. In our case, it would be to adopt new tools.
Yeah.
So I believe that I basically I let myself get influenced.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. And if you actually look, there's change management everywhere. Right? Everywhere. And it's just about having that awareness in your mind so that you can really grab elements here and there. There's change management in psychology, there's change management in social media, there's change management just in every
Pictures, videos, everything is good to be reused.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. All right. Let's take a look at the content, the topic of today. So, while we were preparing for this session, you brought up the fact that creativity paves way for change management. And I loved that sentence. I 100% agree with it. And knowing you, you're a very creative person. So I thought that was a great topic for today's episode. So how does creativity pave way for change management? What's your experience?
Well, when I started as a change manager at Devoteam, so we have all those frameworks and tools such as the ProSci methodology, the ADKAR model, to only cite two. But to me, those are only guidelines. It's basically a golden thread, but it's only one thread, right? So you can weave the golden thread with many other threads.
Yeah.
And that will make actually your change management strategy even stronger, and it will even be better adapted to your client's context, culture, business. And that's where creativity comes in, because we always have to adapt to our clients in ways of communicating, giving training, and gamifying the change.
Yeah.
And the more we're going to adapt our change strategy to our clients' context, culture, way of working, the more successful the change will be, because we actually fit in their journey. And the whole part where we as change managers adapt to a client is basically, for me, creativity. Some clients are thrilled by the idea of making a change fun, by gamifying the change. Some others are just happy with displaying posters about the change in toilets, and why not? This is also another way of being creative and transmitting the message about change.
Yeah.
So we have like really concrete examples of clients that really wanted that idea of fun, of gamifying the change. In the past months, we have really organized a treasure hunt over a couple of months where people were split into teams and they had to perform several tasks in order to win the most points possible to, in the end, win a voucher, whatever the voucher. But the goal was really to get them to discover the tools throughout that treasure hunt, and also to adopt in a way those new tools. So that's the whole creativity part I really like about my job.
What I really liked about what you said is that creativity and fun are really connected, actually, because as you're, introducing creative ways of communicating, creative visuals or creative games, people are going to have fun. They're going to receive maybe a communication that's going to make them smile or make them giggle. So that's what you want, because if people are having fun, then they are going to be more relaxed. There's, things happen in your brain as you're having fun, and so you'll tend to be more at ease with the change and with the transition. And, as change managers, that's our role really, in guiding people through the change.
Yeah, and actually, our counterparts at the client's side, let's say, they also have change managers, com experts, and they have experienced change in the past. And most of the time they said, yes, we had communication, we just got access to the new tools, and that was it. And when we come and we undust that whole basic communication or just getting access to a tool, they're actually super happy. And if you get that change management team already on board in that idea of having fun, of gamifying the whole change process, that also is transmitted to the people who are going through the change.
Yeah.
So,
Change is stressful. I think that's one thing we need to remind ourselves as change managers, is that for us, maybe the transition isn't stressful because we know the process and we know how it goes. But for them, like, there are people that are really stressed out by the change, and we're there to bring them some kind of comfort.
And that's okay. And that's okay. The stress, the goal is to identify it and to deal with it, like to manage the change. And that's actually what we do through Q&A sessions, I'm just thinking now that for a previous migration we did, so again, a company that was working on Microsoft moving to Google Workspace, what we did is that we opened a Slack channel for all the users, a place where they were allowed to ask questions about the migration. This could have been a backlash for us because people resisting the change could have just dropped their dissatisfaction in that channel. But actually, what we did is be very transparent in that chat. So whenever there was a bug, a delay, we would communicate through that chat because it's quick access for everyone. You have it on your mobile phone, so it was available for everyone. And in the end, what happened is that users were less stressed because they knew exactly what was happening with their files, with their mails. And they started also using that chat to share positive feedback. And that was really unexpected. So we tried something new. And actually, it delivered really positive things.
That's so good. That's so good. Transparency does magic, doesn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
When people are going through change. And do you have maybe a specific example of a very creative change management initiative or event or game that you did that's worth mentioning to inspire our audience?
I'm thinking about, it's not really change, it's more related to adoption, but still it's part of change management, right? To get more people to adopt tools. So we have a client who has been working on Google Workspace for the last 10 years. So they are already users of Google Workspace for many years, and they are a worldwide company. Of course, not everybody can stay constantly up to date with the latest updates in Google Workspace because we know Google Workspace, they update their tools every day. So the goal of the project that we're currently rolling out at a client is to create a network, a worldwide network of Google experts. But we don't want to just train people, right? We want to make it fun. We want them to be engaged. We really want them to advocate for the tools. And that they, after the rollout of this project, also keep on learning about the new tools and keep on sharing the information. So basically what we did is create an academy for what we nowadays call Google Owls. And they are all owls. So our ambassadors worldwide are owls, Google Owls. They participate in trainings, in sessions where they can ask us questions about tips and tricks on how to improve productivity, or maybe use cases that I have encountered and that I want to solve with Google tools. After the trainings, they do have an examination because we want to make sure that the knowledge we're sharing is also really something that they have absorbed. We share tips and tricks. They are going to organize themselves Q&A sessions with their colleagues locally. So everywhere in the world, we will have Q&A sessions where they will themselves share their newly acquired knowledge. And we will also work on improving internal processes by the end of the year. And the Google Owls that have won a lot of points throughout participating in trainings, follow-up sessions, creating tips and tricks, organizing Q&A sessions. They gather points, and the owls with the most points, they win a very nice Pixel phone. I think that's great because this is really creating engagement. And we have created a whole universe around it. So you have owls, you have the nest, you have a website. It's all themed, and they actually really adhere to the whole game. And it's really nice to see how now they're even faster than us because they say, yes, we want to have the agenda before the training sessions because we want to prepare our questions for you. I mean, that is really, really what you want as a change manager. Get people so much engaged that they come to you to tell you, you have to be faster now.
That's so good. That's so good. I love the Owl Academy. That just sounds, even the owl represents like wisdom and all that. And
yes,
I love it. It's such a good idea. And you guys have taken it above and beyond. I even read one of the chats this week saying like new owls in the nest. I was like, that's so
yes. And we're doing all this leveraging on the tools that we are promoting. So this is very important that it's not only about giving the information and training people. It's also showing that we are using the tools to organize that whole universe around the Google Owl. So
That's really good. That's extremely creative. So if anyone out there is looking for a theme, you can steal our theme, the Owl Academy. And yeah, that's really, really creative. That's really good. And so in regards to creativity, when you're pitching this to the customer, how do they generally react? Of course, every customer is different, right? But how do they react, and how do you get sponsor approval or sponsor encouragement in that aspect?
Yeah. Companies who have already been through change and that didn't like it, most of the time they are happy with gamification and fun. But let's take the example of pitching this to an IT team who will be involved in the change management, because we also rely on them. Well, most of the time they won't see the why we would do this. They think, okay, we will give access and that will be it. That's what they need to work, right?
Yeah.
So we do face people telling us, no, it's too much budget, or it's too much time investment. People won't participate. But what we try to do is really to show that if it's about the money, we really try to show that the investment in the gamification part and the fun part doesn't need to be much, actually, because we are leveraging on the tools that they need to adopt. For example, if we create a dashboard where participants can see their avatar move to the ultimate step where they win, this is basically a tool in Google that we have available that we're just using in a different way for what it was basically designed for.
Yeah.
So if we can really show that we are going to create a whole, for example, treasure hunt over several months just using the Google tools, there is no investment for other tools. The only investment you have to do is maybe a voucher at the end. That most of the time works very well.
Yeah.
And for the sponsorship, it's not that we're tricking them, but the best way actually is to ask them to sponsor, to write a communication about it, because if they have to sign a communication, they need to know what's in that communication and to advocate for it. They cannot say, yeah, I signed it because they made me do it. When you're a C-level, you don't say that, right? So if you get the C-level to sign a communication to explain to them why we're doing that, yeah, it's actually working well, especially the part where we leverage on the tools that they need to adopt.
That's really good. Yeah, that's really good. And generally, sponsors, and you're talking about C-levels here, they will if you're saying that this is going to bring something back to them, like a return of investment of whatever that may be, in terms of adoption or in terms of, employee happiness or whatever that may be, if you can show them that creativity is going to bring that back to them, I think that is a really key message to, say, okay, trust me on this. Google Owl is something that's really going to help people feel like they're part of something, just to go back to your example, in a fun, creative way. And this is going to be really smooth sailing, right?
Yeah.
Return of investments are really a good way as well to kind of...
yeah. It's not only a buzzword, it's a real thing that you can achieve with change management. You go the extra mile because your change management strategy doesn't stop the day that you have the tools available. It actually is after the whole part, after the go live is important.
Yeah, it's after the project is over.
Yes.
People don't realize that, do they?
No, and it's actually something that we notice a lot, or I do here in our methodology, our migration methodology. We have two important phases: the migration to the communication tools, the migration to the collaboration tool. The first phase, we are all very energetic about change. We throw a lot of energy in creating a very nice strategy, and then we see that it worked for the communication part. And then somehow for the collaboration phase, it just dropped down because we're like, okay, it's done. People are on the tool, but now is the moment to continue to drive the change. And yeah, sometimes I get questions like, do we really have to send out that communication or that feedback form? Like, yes, we have to. And that's maybe something I see maybe a mistake when doing change management. If we see one success afterwards, we're just, forgetting about that change track instead of maintaining it.
Yeah. Well, there's also an element of change fatigue, right? Because like onboarding to Google Workspace is such an effort if you're coming from a Microsoft world, that if it's such a long project, it is tiring.
It is tiring. That's why also it is important to make room for change and to not have too many change projects at the same time. You can have, I think, maybe parallel projects because they are linked. But yeah, you should try to limit it and spread it over the year. And of course, you should have moments where there are no changes. Such example, we actually do that in our migration methodology. Sometimes we have a stop 2 weeks where we don't communicate anymore. We're not performing any changes anymore. We're just letting the people absorb the change.
Yeah, that's really important. Yeah. Any other common mistakes that you see in change management that you'd like to list or to pinpoint?
There are, definitely the belief that change management stops after one successful change moment, after the global, after go live moments.
Yeah.
I would say that sometimes we really underestimate the role of the sponsor. And I've been working on a project where I actually had a great sponsor, and I actually finally saw the importance of it, because I never had a good sponsor in other projects. And that one was a lady finance director, and she was present in all the meetings. And when somebody, a manager, had somebody in the team that was not following the change, that was not up to date, she was really like, hey, that person in your team, you need to talk to that person like really personally to solve the issues, because she's always complaining. And it was great because we had her support, and she was always like, oh yeah, but we need to talk about that project in the town halls, because they had town halls, and every 2 weeks she was really giving updates about the project, so she also knew what was coming and she could talk about it.
Wow.
That's, I think, I think something overlooked most of the time in change management is the importance of the sponsor.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, 100% agree. That's we try to focus on it as much as possible in kickoffs, right? Saying like, you're a sponsor, you need to be there, but it's not always the case. It is a hard one.
But there again, they can be creative. We can make videos of them where they explain the project. They can also organize Q&A sessions. I mean, they can be present. They don't need to just be an email or a signed email. They can do a lot, and even more maybe than us when it comes to making people go through the change.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Is there any piece of advice? We are going to reach a very diverse audience. So if there's one piece of advice you want to give to a change manager, what would it be?
Just try out stuff. I know it's maybe a bit blunt, but so being creative is just trying new ways of communicating, of training. And if it doesn't work, it's fine. Actually, just stop it and do it differently. Yeah. There is an exercise I remember I did. It was building a tower with chopsticks. And we were explained that we were failing to build that tower because as adults, we always think about the perfect solution immediately. We want to just build immediately what works. But actually, you can try to build and see how it works throughout the whole process. You don't have to have the perfect strategy immediately. You can always adapt during your project. And that's why I'm telling about. Just try stuff. If it doesn't work, you can adapt in the second phase, in the third phase. That's what I would recommend.
That's really good. Very good piece of advice. And last question. I'm wondering, who do you think I should have next on the
podcast? Let's bring in somebody from tech, to have a different angle, maybe. Brecht Sannen, our tech lead.
Okay. All right. I'll be reaching out to you, Brecht Sannen.
Look out.
Watch out. All right. Well, thank you so much, Charlotte, for your time and for everything, all the wisdom you've shared with us today, and for giving us an insight into your creative mind. I hope you enjoyed this experience as well.
I really enjoyed it. Really, thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. All right. And for others, if you're watching or listening, stay tuned. Follow our Instagram page, Change Setters. I post a couple of times over there, and you'll get snippets of this interview as well posted. So just like and follow the channel on YouTube as well. That really helps out. And yeah, speak to you soon.
See
Bye,
you soon,
Charlotte.
Karen. Bye-bye.